Hello and welcome to the Doctor Who Show's podcast of Decision 3. I'm Dave and once again I'm joined by three of our good friends.
Mark,
Rob,
and Richard.
And once again we're going to play the podcast of Decision. Guys, thank you very much for joining us once again. We'll now get into our podcast of Decision. For those who aren't aware, we have two parts and we'll start now with part one.
Which we call the first part. No,
So, welcome to part one. This is a very simple premise, and that is, as we've said on our previous podcast of Decision, the time-space visualizer has run out of memory capacity, and we need to jettison 75% of its record. And so, therefore, we're going to go around, draw 4 items out of the little bowl here, and we can only save one of them. The other 3 are obliterated, destroyed, and erased from the records. However, we each have a joker card we can play to save one other item across the rounds. So, that being the case, Richard, you're sitting to my right.
Right.
Why don't you draw out first 4 random items?
Alright, I'll shut my eyes because I can kind of see some of what's in the bowl. So I'll shut my eyes, and I have got my eyes shut. Alright, I've got 4, and they are Leela,
oh,
Kef McCulloch. Sorry,
Bye-bye.
Kef the Hammer.
hammer.
McCulloch, Eric Saywood,
Oh,
and World Enough and Time the Doctor Falls. Oh,
That suddenly got a bit harder towards you.
yes.
Yeah, it did, actually.
I can see a Joker card coming out here, I think.
Well, Richard, do you want to start us with that round?
Well, given the reception that Kef McCulloch got when he was brought out, can we agree maybe that we're not going to save Kef McCulloch?
I don't think he's as bad as everyone says overall, but at his worst, he's pretty bad.
I don't think anybody could save Kef McCulloch, not even Kef. So, I'm happy. Bye-bye, Kef.
He did appear in Delvin the Batman. Okay, yeah, he can go.
Dun, 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 dun. Bye, Kef.
what's his real first name? Is it Kef? Has anyone ever actually found out?
It's Kef and Awful.
Oh,
Boom.
All right, so we're down to 3. So we have Leela, Eric Saywood, and World Enough and Time the Doctor Falls. Now, I'll start by saying I thought they were great episodes, World Enough and Time and the Doctor Falls.
Agreed.
And I think probably Capaldi's 2 best episodes. Well,
probably, yes.
Certainly the ones I saw.
All 3 of them.
Hey, I've seen more than that. So what do we feel about... So I'm actually quite happy to take World Enough and Time the Doctor Falls through, I think. How do we feel, say, about Eric Saywood and Leela?
I feel better about Leela than Eric Saywood, unfortunately for Eric.
Right?
He's a divisive fellow, isn't he? I can hear lots of people screaming out, just get rid of Eric right now.
Happily, I don't think Eric gives a stuff about what anyone thinks about him.
Especially those last 2 books he's written, no.
But don't forget, he did script edit. Like when he, as we discussed in the Footy to Doomsday Christmas special a couple of years ago, once he sort of got his feet under the desk and knew what he was doing, season 21, for example, is a really good season.
It is.
Like
It is.
And Earthshock he wrote is a great story.
Visitation?
The Visitation's a really good story.
Revelation? Yeah.
Revelation exists. A lot of people like...
It's on your shelf.
I got the book yesterday, returned up in the post. Look, Revelation's not my personal favourite, but I know it has a very high regard from a lot of fans.
Yep.
So I don't think he's easy to dismiss, but is he as good as Well Enough in Time? No. I mean that was a really good episode.
It was a good set of episodes. I mean, obviously both Eric's high points and that story also feature Cyberman.
Well, Dave's right. I mean, he did shepherd season 21 into existence, and he brought Robert Holmes back to the series where JNT probably wouldn't have had a bar of him. As such, Caves of Androzani probably wouldn't exist.
But he also inflicted the trial season on us.
Well, he was forced to inflict it on us, really.
No, he could have gone. I mean, really.
He could
Could have resigned.
Yes, he could have left
He could have.
prior to that.
Yeah, that's true, but yeah.
And when Robert Holmes said, hey, I've got this idea, let's do evidence from the past, present and future, he could have thought about it for more than 30 seconds and gone, dude, that doesn't work. Rather than just, Robert, everything you say is glorious. I shall do as you bid.
Yeah.
Holmes has spoken.
Let's park Eric, literally and metaphorically, for a second. Leela. Now, starts off great, very strong, ends up...
Not quite as great.
Not married to Andrew?
Again, not quite as great.
I think the concept of Leela works well.
Yeah.
And she has the huge advantage of her first 8 episodes are written by Chris Boucher.
Yep.
Then I think the next 6 are written by Robert Holmes. then 4 by Terrence Dix, and another 4 by Chris Boucher. Now, if you wanted a lineup of writers to write your first sort of 20 episodes, that's about as good as you're going to get.
It's a good stretch, isn't it?
As opposed to, say, who wrote Mel's first 20 episodes.
Who? Exactly.
So, whilst her character's very good, I must admit I have no particular attachment to Leela. I don't think she's bad, but I don't think she's in the top tier of companions. And
No, probably not.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
All right. Okay. Well, that actually was a far easier discsion than I thought it was going to be.
Goodbye, Leela.
You're
banished to Big Finish forever.
So we're down to Eric Saywood and World Enough and Time. Is someone willing to play a Joker and keep them both?
Do you know what would make those 2 episodes even more perfect? Is that Twice Upon a Time didn't follow it. So even though those 2 episodes there are very, very good, there's always that slight, oh my god, it actually went on for a little bit longer. Although you could say the same thing about Eric, really, with season 23. He went over that a little bit longer.
So season 23 was his Twice Upon a Time?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, look, for me, I would lean very much towards the 2 episodes that Richards pulled out. I think their impact on the Capaldi era, I think a lot of people probably watched those episodes and thought, hey, Capaldi's not as bad as we may think he is.
Mm-hmm. Their influence does drift back and sort of help to elevate his Doctor, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you sort of wonder what the hell Moffat was doing prior to that. It took this time to bring these 2 episodes to fruition, or to write this quality of story. And look, admittedly, the last episode is let down by the fact that the Doctor doesn't regenerate because Moffat decided that
the BBC decided.
Well, we need a Christmas episode.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate that sort of other factors got in the way of the purity of the storytelling, but you can't sort of detract from those 2 episodes because of that.
It's the equivalent of Caves of Androzani then Twin Dilemma, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is a bit.
Yeah, it is very much.
Yeah. And no one talks down Caves because Twin comes next, do they?
No, shouldn't. No, you're right. You're right.
Well, I'm sold on Board Enough and Time.
All right, so taking that one through, does anybody want to play their Joker and save Eric?
Look, Eric has his strengths, and as you say, when he's writing well, I mean, Revelation is great for me. Certainly, Earthshock is a quality story, and season 21 again. But the way he conducted himself after he left that Starburst interview, which was just a screed of bile that still echoes down the decades.
Somebody's actually animated that online. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somebody's actually done like a talk show situation. And
What did we say? Only hate keeps me alive.
Certainly, just by looking at him recently, that is the only thing keeping him alive.
It's certainly not a career.
Well, meant to keep the bloody defamation down. Look, I'm not going to throw a Joker on the table to save Eric.
No,
likewise. No. All right,
sorry, Eric.
In the bin.
Bye, Eric.
So
we're taking through World Enough and Time, and the Doctor falls.
Yes. Yeah, wow.
All right.
That's a first for us.
So let's pass the bowl of decision over to Rob. The bowl of Rassilon.
All right, I have pulled 4 out. The first one is Captain Jack.
Bye.
Oh!
That's actually very funny, Mark. Well done.
I just got it. Greatest show in the galaxy. Jeez, I've pulled out a couple of winners so far. Here's a third one. The Horns of Nymon.
Yes.
This is like pulling the worst hand out in cards. Pip and Jane Baker.
Hey!
So just to reiterate, we have Captain Jack, the greatest show in the galaxy, the Horns of Nymon, and Pip and Jane Baker. Both now deceased?
No, one is. Jane's deceased, I think.
Pip is still alive, I think.
Yeah.
Pip. All right, nice.
For me to be a decision between the 2 stories.
Yes?
I would definitely have Captain Jack in contention.
Right. Mark?
Bye, Pip and Jane. Let's just go for the easy one first.
Let's talk about Pip and Jane, because there have been new series fans who don't know their impact on the show.
So,
impact, quotation marks.
Let's talk about Pip and Jane's contribution to Doctor Who. Mark of the Rani, I'm not a fan of, but I know others are, and that's sort of their big standalone story. At the point where Trial of the Time Lord was about to fall down, they couldn't make a 3rd segment. Pip and Jane stepped in and wrote Terror of the Vervoids, which I think is Colin's best, least most fun story. At the point where Robert Holmes dies, Eric Saywood resigns, and they say, look, we just need part 4 in this story, and we need it sort of yesterday. Pip and Jane Baker write it. When J&T is told you actually are producing a new series of Doctor Who and we need the first script in a week, again, Pip and Jane write it. I don't think that part 14 of Trial is particularly good. I don't think Time and the Rani is particularly great. It's interesting. They sort of are doing some nice concepts. But you've got to give them credit for just delivering it to probably the lowest point of the show's history. Just someone that JNT could turn to and go, for the love of God, just write me a script that works. And their scripts always worked.
Well, in the sense that they came out to 25 and a bit minutes, they
had to start it all in the end.
Exactly right. Yeah.
They produced dialogue that people spoke. Look, it's hard. I mean, obviously, if you come in at the very last minute, and apparently it was the last minute it possibly could, and they did it. Yep. They did that last episode in about 3 days.
Yeah,
they did.
Apparently, they just pumped it out,
with lawyers standing over their shoulder, making sure they couldn't do anything that Saywood or Holmes had done.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but that's just a fact.
When all they needed was a script editor standing over their shoulders, actually showing them what to do. That's okay.
Not someone who was motivated by bile, and whom
bile
hatred only kept alive. Look, in this cavalcade of mediocrity, I would say Pip and Jane are out. Unfortunately,
I mean, look, there are others I'm willing to fight for.
Yeah. There's exactly.
Yes.
So Pip and Jane in the vortex of Doom.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm trying to pick up that line from the last episode of The Troll of a Time Lord where they cover themselves in glory.
They've gone into the megabyte modem.
I think that decision was definitely catharsis of spurious morality.
Thank you very much. That's what I wanted. And after that tumultuous buffeting, let's keep going.
So again, it may be that these are actually in the order of preference, but Captain Jack at the top here on the table, Greatest Show in the Galaxy and the Horns of Nimon. Mark?
Captain Jack goes. I find him really annoying.
Yeah, I couldn't fight to save Captain Jack.
No, I think he's really annoying, and in fact, he's John Barrowman.
Why is he annoying?
I just don't think it provides much value apart from, I don't know, just double entendre.
No, I was going to say,
it
didn't really work for me. Look, I think he probably worked better with Eccleston than he did with Tennant.
With Tennant,
I would probably say that, at least, but
I'm going to say I really like Captain Jack, particularly, as you said, in the Eccleston season.
Yeah.
He's a different character. He brings in a different sort of humour. He brings in some diversity to Doctor Who, which we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
He's played really well. I mean, some of those lines he gets, particularly when he's doing all that stuff solo and Bad Wolf, when it's him with the two androids and everything, like that's really good. He gets the heroic death. He gets to sort of actually be the one who kind of calls the Tenant Doctor out on a few occasions when he comes back, which I really like. I think he's a really good character. John Barrowman is annoying, but we're not doing John Barrowman. We're doing Captain Jack.
I think when you talk about it, though, I've got to separate the Captain Jack from Doctor Who to the Captain Jack we saw in Torchwood. And unfortunately, I did watch. I've got the Torchwood Captain Jack, as opposed to you just rattled out the stuff he did with Eccleston.
What about the Children of Earth Captain Jack?
Actually, that was really good.
Exactly,
that was really good. Yeah, actually, but I'd still get rid of him. Yeah, actually, I thought that was a very, very good series of episodes, actually. And the ending, where he sacrifices, spoilers, his grandchild, I thought was actually very confronting.
Yes, where it turns out his grandchild weighs 73 kilos.
Yes.
It's a little in-joke for those who get it.
Oh, no. That's right. Yeah, I don't know, doesn't... It's a character that doesn't resonate with me a lot. And the fact he keeps dropping in interviews every 3 weeks saying, I've got to come back to Doctor Who. It's like it's his,
I want to be in the 50th anniversary.
Right. But again...
I know, it's not the actor, it's the character.
I know.
I would be inclined to keep Captain Jack. I certainly enjoyed his first appearance, the Doctor Dances, and that two-parter. Right. And the Children of Earth, I think the character was particularly strong and had interesting things to do. So I'm inclined to keep him, but we'll see
what about the two stories?
Well, look, I know there's a bit of nostalgic love for the Horns of Nimon, but I think I rate Greatest Show in the Galaxy a little bit better as what it's trying to achieve.
I really want to like Greatest Show in the Galaxy, and every few years I put it on, wanting to see it the way other people see it. I mean, I know fans that rate that as their favourite story ever. And I put it on...
Wow, they're high.
And I put it on knowing the things that others read into it, knowing the things that they see in it and things they like about it. And I can see them, I get it, but it never really impacts for me. Captain Cook, I just find annoying, not clever. Mags, I kind of find, a bit of a one-note sort of thing. The Chief Clown's great. I think the Ringmaster's great. Yes, the subtext is there, and I appreciate it, but it just doesn't land for me.
Yeah. What do you think about the two stories, Richard?
If I had to choose between them, I'm actually going to be contrarian and say I'd actually choose the Horns of Nimon. And it's probably, it's a nostalgia thing. I can just chuck on the Horns of Nimon and just have fun. It is, it's fun. The cast, I don't think it's a great story. The cast clearly are having a lot of fun doing it. I think it's a very good story for Lalla Ward.
I think it's Lalla Ward's best story.
I think she gets a lot to do because Tom clearly is off, you know.
Well,
I was going to say entertaining the kiddies, so she actually gets to drive a lot of the narrative.
Yeah. And don't forget part 3 of Haunts of Nymon, which is actually really dark because that's where Romana goes off to
really dark.
Yeah, when she basically goes to a world, Krinoth, where the alien invasion has literally succeeded. And you've just got the end of this world that's been destroyed by the Nymons.
Husk.
Yeah, and you don't get that in Doctor Who very often. You don't get to actually see this is what can happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I like Haunts of Nymon, as I said, just for pure fun.
It is, it's fun.
I don't mind Greatest Show either. I think I called it a couple of years ago that it was in my underrated top 5. But if I want to have a comfort Doctor Who story, I'd go for something like that with
so
the BL3.
Are we eliminating Greatest Show?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. Which leaves us with Captain Jack and Horns of Nymon. I'm going to go with Dave. I would vote to keep Captain Jack, and I would vote to eliminate Horns of Nymon.
I'm going to keep Horns of Nymon in. Goodbye, Captain Jack.
And I would do the same.
Right. So. What happens in this case, Dave?
You know what? I'll play my Joker. And I'll save Captain Jack, and you guys can Horns of Nymon.
So you've got the benefit. You know what's in the bowl. So you know what hasn't come out yet.
Lovely.
All right. So we're keeping both Captain Jack and Nymon. Excellent.
Yep, happy with that.
Okay, so we'll pass the bowl of Rassilon over to Mark.
That sounds like a...
Sound the horn of Rassilon.
That sounds like a big finish reading to happen, isn't it? The Haunts of Nymon meets Captain Jack. The House Stammers Walker's books. Very good, Dave.
Good choice.
The Cushing movies. Dave.
Jeez, Dave, you're a monster.
Utopia, Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Wars trilogy.
I know which one of those three is going as far as I'm concerned.
Here come the drums. The Keys of Marinus.
Hey.
Very conflicting there, contrasting, I should say.
I want to save them all.
This is not Pokemon, Dave. You can't say
Well, Mark, it's your round. Talk us through.
Okay, right. So let's go through these quickly. The House Stammers Walker's books. Fantastic times. Let's be honest. When the 60s came out, that really shattered a lot of the myths around the
it did. That really is a defining book. Yep.
Absolutely. The 60s, 70s, 80s books are still fantastic to this day, and their handbooks as well. Ultimate reference material, which I think I still look at occasionally, so I would definitely plumb for them. The Cushing movies. Now, I think they're fun. I think they're real, especially the first Dalek story. That was my first, viewing of the initial Dalek story was actually on the Cushing one. So I've still got a lot of fun memories with it. They are popcorn movies. They're big, bright, brash. Yep. The speech, obviously in the first one's a little bit on the slow side. But really, for a condensed view or a condensed version of those first two Dalek serials, I don't think you can really go past them. They're essentially like Batman, the Batman TV show for the Daleks.
Yeah.
Really. And they're colourful. You can show them to the kids.
I really like it. The first one particularly.
Yeah.
And as a 5-year-old, that was regular viewing. That first one particularly.
I still think the second one's actually really quite good too.
They're both great.
Yeah.
Was it Channel 9 who used to frequently show them?
Channel 7, I think, showed.
I
Channel
remember
7
I
showed.
got up. I would have been probably 9 or 10. I remember getting up at like 4 in the morning or something. One of them was on. Yeah, one of them was like their late, early
very late
movie. It was like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I remember going.
I still remember Dalek Invasion Earth 2150 AD being a regular Saturday afternoon or something.
I remember in the 81, 82 or 83 seeing them on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I think they showed them like one week and then the other one the second week. I think.
Yeah. The Keys of Marinus. Well,
it's a really good story. I think it's really exciting. It's really innovative. Compared to some of the others on this list, though, I can't put it through.
No.
If this was in the previous round, maybe, for example, I might have bumped for Keys of Marinus. Yeah. But I don't think it's going to win in this one. And let me say, even with the Cushing movies, as much as I love them, would my life be much changed without them?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
I mean, we've got the actual Daleks and the actual Dalek invasion of Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've got Peter Cushing in
lots of other
Star
stuff.
Wars.
You mean when ready? So, and also Rogue One. What do you mean he's not alive?
The animated corpse of Peter Cushing.
It's George Lucas's equivalent of Big Finish, isn't it?
Other than money, what are people's families thinking about allowing their...
The money.
It's the money.
There is no other.
Yeah, it's just...
there's that story about Peter Cushing. You can cut this if you want, but there is that story about Peter Cushing. When they did the range of Star Wars figures, Kennedy did their action figures, he wouldn't sign the released to have himself debased in plastic. But as soon as he passed away, the next wave they released after that, first time in an action figure, Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah. Sad.
Let's move to the Keys and Mariners. We've all agreed we're going to move that to the side. So now we're left with 3. And the third one is Utopia, Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Lords trilogy.
This is tough because they are diminishing returns.
Very much.
Yes.
I think Utopia is the tail end of probably the best run of episodes in the new series, where you've got Human Nature 2-parter, Blink and Utopia, which is the best episode of Blake 7 to appear in Doctor Who. and it's got Nick Klein from the bill.
Yes, true.
That's true. Excellent.
The Sound of Drums I enjoyed, but it's not as good. And Last of the Time Lords was not
awful.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I would...
Death in Heaven bad.
It's not quite Death in Heaven bad.
It's on that same...
You can approach absolute zero, but you can never quite get there.
Is Utopia's reputation down to the last 5 or 10 minutes?
Probably.
Or in and of itself, is it a good story?
No, you think about all the stuff with Derek Jacobi in there, you think about the way the mystery builds and you start to work out what's going on. I think I like that end of the universe sort of setting they have.
Yeah.
Look, I think the setting's really good. It's great. Look, Derek Jacobi's great.
Always great.
I would have very much liked to have actually allowed him to be the master maybe for an episode or two before
the massive sinking feeling I had when
he became John Sim.
Yeah, just running around the TARDIS, gurning like crazy. It was talk about weeing away all that goodwill you've built up.
Yeah, because I thought I really would have liked to have seen him even just for an episode, perhaps if they just allowed him to be the master for an episode. Yeah.
I mean, it's great stunt casting from that perspective, but you really need to capitalise on having a great actor like that, even if it's just for 1 or 2 episodes. And John Sim sort of redeemed himself.
He did
when
redeem
back
himself
in those
because I think he was allowed to do what he wanted to do at the beginning.
Yeah,
that's what he sort of said. He sort of had to be the opposite to Tennant.
Yes.
And we have let John Sim survive in our world enough and time. So
yeah, I suppose so.
Okay.
Are we basically just all sort of getting to the point where we obviously say it's the House Dammers Walker books?
Yep.
I love the Cushing movies. Certainly from a nostalgic perspective. I mean, they're okay movies, but I think they're a lot of fun as well. But yeah, I mean, House Dammers Walker really did just change Doctor Who research and historiography and all those sort of funny words to the positive. I mean, it was great. I mean, I don't even know that you could get books like that pumped out, because I suppose back then the BBC didn't really give us stuff and didn't ask for too much money for the photo releases and all that sort of thing.
I mean, having said that, I also am very, very fond of Andrew Pixley's archive features, which also contain a wealth of information.
True.
But they're very disparate.
It's probably not as accessible, perhaps, as the House Dammers Walker stuff.
These are all, and plus, we just got, if the time space visualizer is losing, we need to jettison a large part of its memory. I think the House Dammers books we need to put back in there to have some of that reference material in there.
Oh, well done, Mark.
So I'm happy to keep in the House Dammers Walkers books, Dave.
Yeah, I concur.
I concur.
Okay, so House Dammers Walkers, you are through to the next round. Who's next? Is that Dave?
Thank you very much. So, my selection from the Bowl of Rassilon is all multi-Doctor stories.
Oh.
Doctor Who magazine. The Sarah Jane Adventures. Revelation of the Daleks.
Yes!
So, this is difficult because I think DWM is a huge wildcard.
Is it difficult though, really?
We all know where we're going, don't we, Rob?
Oh, I'm not going there. So, the thing about DWM is I think everybody has their own personal classic era of DWM, which is kind of when they were the right age to really appreciate it. Like the issues for me sort of around 190 to about 240, where there were particular sets of comic strips in there, particularly news in there, particular archives in there. They're special for me. I know if you talk to others, they'll talk about those early episodes of Doctor Who Weekly, which had the Tom Baker strips and all the rest of them being their classic. And I would be very willing to save that part of DWM, but there's a lot of DWM that I'm just completely indifferent to, which makes that one quite hard.
Like most of it since 2005.
Yeah, well, I suppose you think about how you read them. I mean, you're right. I mean, I remember probably being about 14, 15 when I first started reading DWM properly and getting them regularly, and you'd sit there and you'd read all the articles. Now, when I get them, I really just skim through it sort of pick out maybe one or two articles that I give slightly closer attention to, and then that's.
So, I know you regularly read all the Time team, so you know.
1.5 times speed. What struck me recently, because I stopped buying it probably during the Tennant years, I picked up the Pertwee issue, and I glanced through it, and what struck me was how thin it seemed in terms of the quality of the material. It struck me that if this had been done 10 or 15 years ago, you would have got all the heavy hitters writing about the Pertwee era, Pixley, you name it.
But I suppose you now sort of at the point you've got to pitch it so that new series fans who perhaps don't care about the classic series will still read it.
And it's the other way as well.
You're pitching it to today's 15-year-olds. And if today's 15-year-olds or 12-year-olds, whatever it is, enjoy it, well, that's good. The question is, do we save DWM for the bits we like, or do we throw it out for the bits we don't?
I'm okay, because I've got DWB at home.
There's no denying the impact of Doctor Who magazine, for many fans over many years. I mean, it's clocked up 40 years of continuous publication, so, it obviously has something to offer to a lot of people. But given what we have in that little group, I would be happy to ditch it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we move it off to the side. Now, what do we want to do next?
Well, all multi-Doctor stories is probably equally difficult because there's a couple in there that I would move heaven and earth to save. I mean, 3 Doctors, 5 Doctors, 2 Doctors. Look, I like it, but if it goes, I'm not going to miss it that much. Day of the Doctor, again, I like it, but it doesn't have a special place in my heart. But I know it does for a lot of people.
Time Crash?
Time Crash.
Does that tip it over the edge?
Well, look, I loved Time Crash when it happened, but I haven't watched Time Crash in 10 years. It's not something I've put on and gone, I need to watch Time Crash again. It happened, it was fun, it went. It was pretty ephemeral.
7
it wasn't,
minutes worth.
Yeah. Taking the piss and then move on, isn't it, really? Yeah.
Look, the 5 Doctors I love. I just love. I think it's a wonderful exercise in nostalgia, and it's a pretty decent story from a good storyteller. I'm not as big a fan of the 3 Doctors as some. I think the novelisation actually is better than the story, the television story. 2 Doctors, Dave's right. I mean, it's not a great story, and it doesn't make great use. I mean, the fun of multi-Doctor stories is watching the Doctors interact. And I think if you look at 2 Doctors objectively, there's not much interaction between Troughton and Colin Baker.
No, 3 Doctors is probably best for that.
Yes.
And look, I have a soft spot for 3 Doctors because that was really the first time I ever actually saw Troughton and Hartnell on screen. I'd never actually seen the black and white era Doctors prior to that on screen.
It is, of course, William Hartnell's last appearance, so that's a special thing. I would err at this stage towards the multi-Doctor stories. No disrespect to the Sarah Jane Adventures, I think they are fantastic pieces of children's television. And when I watched the first few episodes of Series 1, I remember thinking to myself, if I was 10,
exactly,
this would be absolutely
if I was a kid again, this is something I'd have really got into.
Sadly, by the time I saw them, I was about 30.
Yes, and
I
let's
still
face
thought
it,
they were good.
Oh, they're still great. I still enjoy them, but I appreciate them more than I love them.
And I'd probably say, look, if you're a Sarah Jane fan, look, you can watch all the Doctor Who stories she's in, so you don't need her in her own spin-off series.
No.
Yeah.
So we're going to...
SJA out.
Yeah, look, I'd probably...
Reluctantly,
but I'd move them out. So now, Rob, Revelation of the Daleks.
You don't need to hear me extol its virtues. I expect you lot to... No. Well, what do you think of it, Richard?
I really like it. I think it's very clever. I think there is some very, very good content and some very, very clever dialogue and stuff in it. It's not really a Doctor Who story.
Well, let's be honest. The Doctor has no bearing on the plot whatsoever.
No.
He wanders around, a few people get killed trying to help him, and then Tarkus and Luke go and call the other Daleks in to get Davros, and everyone goes home. If you remove the Doctor from Revelation, nothing happens other than a few extra people live.
No. That's the thing. I mean, look, I know it shows Eric Saywood and his attitude, shall we say, at the time he wrote it and whatever. Yes.
It's also got Tassim Beaker.
Oh, yeah, Jenny. What was her name?
It's got Alexi Sale in it.
Yes, it has got Alexi.
He's good in that.
I
will pay that.
Yeah, he's good.
And look, I'll pay Clive Swift as well. He gives a great performance.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. I mean, Revelation is the best Doctor-like story of the classic series. It's classic series, isn't it?
Jeez, you're coming out with them today, Mark. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
It's got Eleanor Bronze deciding that who cares about subtlety?
Yeah.
let's just give the biggest performance I can give.
Exactly.
Let's just
revel in it. Galaxy like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it because you couldn't have this sort of story week in, week out. It's like having Cocoa Pops for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a week. It's no good.
If you had the choice, though, Revelation of 5 Doctors, what would you plumb for to watch?
You're going to chuck one on.
You're going to chuck one on. Where would your hand hover towards?
Oh, jeez. That's a hard one. Well, I've probably seen 5 Doctors more recently than Revelation, so probably I would go back to Revelation just to experience it once again. There's no saving some people.
I'm very easy for me, multi-Doctor stories. 5 Doctors, 3 Doctors, even Dave the Doctor.
I'd go multi-Doctor stories, but only 3 Doctors, 5 Doctors, and if I could re-edit 2 Doctors to 45 minutes. Let's just go. Let's make it easy. I'll just do that. Multi-Doctor stories I'm going to keep.
I'd be quite happy to save the 3 Doctors and the 5 Doctors. And if I could save probably the bit of Day of the Doctor that had Tom Baker in it.
Well, that's a point. You don't want to throw that in the bin, do you?
No, exactly. That's a bit. If I could save that bit.
What do we think of Day of the Doctor, though? As an exercise in
I really enjoyed it when I saw it. I saw it in the cinema.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it when I saw it in the cinema. I thought it was fun. It moved at a really good pace. I thought it, treated both the Doctors pretty well. There was that collective when Tom Baker came on the screen, and you just watch all the 40-plus-year-old fans just the tears slowly trickle down the face when they see Tom.
Even the moment when Peter Capaldi just rocked up unexpectedly.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Big cheer when you see the attack eyebrows or whatever. So look, I thought he'd hit all the right notes. When I watched it again, look, I didn't get as much out of it because you sort of got you think about all the nonsense with the War Doctor, and really, you could have just gone and asked Paul McGann. You've got the stuff also with modern day unit, so there's a bit of fan wankery going on there, I think. So, yeah, I'd keep the Tom Baker bit, but maybe
everything else.
The rest of it, maybe.
So what I'm hearing is 3 votes for multi-Doctor stories.
Use your Joker, Rob, if you want to.
You are hearing that, Dave, and I will accept defeat, but pluck victory from the jaws of it by throwing my Joker card down to keep Revelation.
Right.
Excellent.
Well done.
There you go. Right.
Alright, so we're saving all multi-Doctor stories and Revelation of the Daleks. We are halfway through part 1 of the podcast of Decision, and we've used 2 of our 4 Jokers.
Whose turn is it?
Mine.
Go.
Get the bowl of Rassilon. So for the next round, we have Rose, the companion, not the episode. Perry.
Jeez, it's a companion special.
All Christmas specials.
Is that including
first one into the
Feast
furnace?
of Stephen?
Fire up the furnace!
Oh, well, I think we have our winner. All Chris Boucher stories.
All right.
Oh!
Too easy.
Yeah, that's really easy.
That is actually probably the easiest round thus far. Is there anybody who doesn't want to save all the Chris Boucher stories?
I'm happy to keep Chris Boucher stories.
Do we want to at least talk through this, or is this done?
Face of Evil.
Yeah, Robots of Death.
Image of the
Fendal.
Fendal.
3 classics.
Out and out classics.
So, as I said, is there any discussion here, or is this...
Look,
betting 1,000.
If we only had Series 1 Rose, maybe she would be competitive, but Series 2 Rose comes as part of the package, and so she's not.
Yeah. Having said, had it been Rose the episode, I probably would have actually had a bit more of a... I don't know if I'll whip my Joker out, but I certainly would have had more of a hard time probably getting rid of that.
No, I think Chris Boucher is...
Oh, look, I wouldn't take it over the Chris Boucher stories, but I do think Rose the episode, I think as a relaunch for the series, I think actually does a remarkably good job.
Yeah.
But
look,
we're not talking about that. So.
But we're not. So.
We're not. Look, if that second one there said Nicola Bryant, again, I could make an argument, because Nicola, I think, is a really great person. We spent some time with her at dinner at a convention back in the turn of the century.
Jesus, yeah.
But you look at the character of Perry, she is probably one of the most abused, underutilised, just has a horrible time at the TARDIS. Nobody has as bad a time at the TARDIS as Perry does. And
maybe Chameleon.
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, I could make an argument for Nicola. I can't make an argument for Perry. And the Christmas specials, look...
Well, Feast of Stephen's already lost.
Stephen's already lost.
Or is it?
No, No, it is.
Or is it?
What do you know, Rob?
I'll tell you later.
Look, there are some better Christmas specials. There are some terrible Christmas specials. But look, we started where I think we're going to end. Robots of Death, Face of Evil,
Imogen Fender.
Like, we're not throwing them out.
Yeah, Christmas Carol is a very good Christmas special, but I definitely have Robots of Death any day.
Yeah.
You know, to, on repeat watch than that. So, very easy to decide, I'm afraid.
I agree.
Yeah, likewise.
The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe?
Ooh.
No?
I mean, some of those Christmas specials are really awful. I mean, like the one that you've mentioned that I can't remember.
They're supposed to celebrate Christmas, aren't they?
Twice Upon a Time is not very good.
No.
It's just, is it the Next Doctor?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
The first 20 minutes is great.
That was good until Derfel Kerwin turns up, basically.
Yeah, plus you've got the cyber shaggy dog things.
And the Cyber
the
King.
Cyber
What the hell was
King.
That no one remembers afterwards.
Yeah.
Storming across Victorian London.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I know they're meant to help celebrate Christmas, but they just really drag it down.
I get in the English context of watch them on Christmas afternoon in the winter. I get it.
When you're full of Christmas lunch and half drunk.
Yeah.
Who gets drunk at Christmas, though? What is this about?
The English.
The English
You've
go.
got nothing better to do.
It's snowing outside.
It's dark by 3 o'clock.
All right, well, that was quite an easy one then.
I think it was, yes.
It's me.
All right, Rob.
So I've delved deep into the bowl of Rassilon. God almighty. The Caves of Androzani.
Oh my god! Next.
Resolution.
What's that?
That is Jodie Whittaker's
Stop.
New Year's
Special.
special.
No wonder
from
no
this
one
year.
knew what it was.
The Invasion.
Ooh.
This is like killing Bambi. Peter Capaldi.
Oh! Who put these questions together, Dave?
Some monster.
All right, well, are there any we can...
Resolution, next.
Well, Resolution. Look, I've not watched it, so
I haven't watched
that
it
says
either.
something in itself. So Resolution
I
out.
have watched it, but I didn't remember what it was called, so...
I will say in its defence, it's probably the best episode of Doctor Who in 2019.
You're not selling it, Dave.
But no, it can't hold a torch to the other three.
No, so... Oh, Jesus. Again, we have The Caves of Androzani, The Invasion, and Peter Capaldi remaining.
Wow.
That is hard.
Wow.
That is hard. I like The Invasion. I really do.
I love the invasion as well.
Packer.
However, Caves of Androzani,
However,
Stone Cold
Peter
classic.
Capaldi.
However, the greatest Doctor
know
of
what?
the series.
Let's ring Capaldi up and ask him which one he'd pick.
See, I must, and maybe it's because I haven't watched all the Capaldi ones, and plus there's all the crap with Clara. I actually, he's not my favourite of the new series Doctors. That's still Eccleston. So
Speak heresy.
no, Eccleston's still my favourite, but Peter Capaldi is very close.
yeah,
And particularly Peter Capaldi in his last season. I
Yes.
really
I
liked
thought
him
he
in
was
his last
great.
season.
Yeah,
and for me that was because he wasn't surrounded by all the crap with Clara. So
Yes. He wasn't helped by Clara. He wasn't helped by just that arsehole personality they gave him for about his first
Yes.
4 episodes,
Yeah.
yep,
which he took a long time to really shake off
Yes, he
properly.
did.
When will a showrunner allow their lead actor to play the role as they want to play it, and not as something, again? I mean,
And good from the start.
yes.
Like, we're this idea that, we'll start off playing it not as good as we can, but by the end of it we'll be playing it good. Won't that be a wonderful revelation? No! Play it awesome from the start.
Exactly.
Colin? Yes.
Yes. Let's strangle someone. That's fun, isn't it?
After I've been in the role for 7 years, I'll finally be a really good, fun doctor. Well, got a bit of a spoiler for you, Colin. You're not getting 7 years.
you're lucky to get 7 minutes.
3 years.
And look, the same for Capaldi. I remember saying at the time, okay, his first episode was a bit and ah, but they all are. But Into the Dalek, he's just a prick.
yes, he is.
And I was really put off by him, and I know a lot of our friends were. He ended up being a great doctor. As I say, he's
But it took 2.5 years. And even then there were stumbles in his last series. I mean, that middle 3 episodes.
The story's not him.
yeah, I think he was fine.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
I mean,
alright, that's fair
he's
enough.
like Trout, and he makes anything watchable. Well, the 3 Troutons that remain, he makes any. Like you can put a Capaldi on, and they're watchable mainly for his performance.
But is...
However,
apart
apart
from-
from the Dalek one, Dave, yes.
And Death in Heaven.
Oh, what's that? I deny this reality. Encasing your grandfather in a bloody suit.
Look, my vote, and it's very, very tight, would be for the Invasion, but I'll be sad to see any of them go.
I'm going to use a Joker because I haven't. used one yet.
So is Capaldi out?
No.
If I had to pick one, I would pick Androzani myself.
So would I. Yep, I'm with Richard on that one.
I'm going to keep Androzani, but I'm also going to play my Joker on Capaldi.
Did Dave have a vote in this at all? It was invasion, wasn't it?
Well, look, I'm voting for the invasion, so I think Androzani gets through 2 to 1-1.
Yep. And
you're going to play the Joker on PCAP,
yeah,
as the youngsters say.
Yeah.
The invasion's going.
Yeah, well, I think there are probably better Cyberman stories. And you can
most of it's gone.
And you can watch Kevin Stoney and other stuff.
Is the invasion the best story in Troughton's last year, or is the War Games being re-evaluated?
The War Games is major re-evaluation.
I think the invasion edges out the War Games.
I really like the War Games. I have watched it in the not too distant past. There is a bit in the middle where it really stops for about 2 episodes, where they're having to re-explain the plot, and they're sort of having
about episode 7, 8.
Yes.
Is that where Terrence Dix and Malcolm Hawke are arguing about
probably the bottle of scotch should run out.
Yeah.
It's Sunday morning at 4.
We're going to get another bottle.
You're a communist, you'll find some vodka.
And don't pay for it either. What is the best... So we're all saying out of season 6, the War Games is the best story, would you say?
No, I think the invasion edges it out, but only just.
I do like the invasion, but I think there are better Cybermen
Kevin
stories.
Stoney is great, isn't he?
He's fantastic in it.
And I think he really anchors the story as a whole. Yeah, so that's just a side conversation.
I think we're saying we regret kicking out the invasion, but...
We didn't even talk about Case of Androzani, we just assumed
It's one of those stories. I remember a couple of years ago, I just put it on thinking, you know what, it can't be as good as people remember. And it really is. It really is.
I mean, there's 1 or 2 missteps. I mean, the monster does look dodgy, and the way it's depicted a couple of times makes it look really obvious that it's just the man in the suit.
Yeah. It's also unfortunate in hindsight that where you get Sharrow's Jack being creepy and rapey around Perry, I think it works really well and is appropriate to the character in Androzani. With the benefit of hindsight, knowing that that's going to be sort of Perry every second story for the next 2.5 years, that's a shame. But that's not Androzani's fault.
No, of course not.
No.
And does anybody disagree it's Davo's best performance in the role?
Oh, easily. Head and shoulders.
I think he's very good in Frontios.
Yes, that's
very
the
good
other
in
one.
Frontios. I wonder if when they release the season 21 Blu-ray set, they'll include as a special the Australian edit of Part 4. All of
that
that
would be really cool. I have got it somewhere
Have you?
I have got it on a disc somewhere.
It would be interesting just to show the rest of the world what the censuses at the ABC thought could actually be aired to children.
Let's put it on YouTube.
Right,
Okay, sorry.
Invasion, unfortunately, joins a lot of Troughton's episodes in the
I've
furnace.
still got a Joker, but I might save it for the last couple of rounds.
But Rob, there's a backup somewhere in Wigan.
So the bowl will wrestle on over to Mark.
Season 24. Bye.
That was easy.
Season 8. Classic. Ooh.
Terror of the Autons, Mind of Evil, and some other stuff.
Yep.
The demons.
The Planned Season 23. Ooh. Canine and Company. Meow meow.
That became really easy real quick.
Okay, so let's start with Season 24.
Time in the Rani, and some other stuff.
Paradise Towers is a great script.
Yes.
And I actually agree with what Gareth Roberts has said about Paradise Towers. If that had been made with the Russell T Davies tone meetings, where all the different departments actually got together and made sure they're all making the same story, that would be really, really good. Because the script's great, the costume's great, but nothing to do with the script. The set designs are great, but don't match the costumes. The acting is not in tune with any of it. Like, all the bits just don't come together, but I think there's a really good idea there. Delvin the Bannerman, I've come to appreciate as being fun. I loathed it when it first came out, and I loathed it for a very long time.
I still loathe it on the show. I can't stand Delvin the Bannerman. For classic Who, it is the only time I've ever turned the TV set off.
So Paradise Towers was for me, that was the same thing. Paradise Towers episode 2, I turned it off.
I really like Dragonfire.
Which was on as I wandered in this afternoon.
But
is Dragonfire just because it's the okay script in an otherwise fairly ordinary series?
No, I think there's a lot going on in Dragonfire. I think you can really start to feel Cartmore's influence in there. The performances are great. The characters are great. The music is... I mean, I still say Dominic Ling is the best composer in the series. Look, I can make a defence for Season 24, but I certainly can't put it above Season 8, so let's just accept that.
Just for people who don't know, the first couple of stories of Season 24 effectively did not have a script editor. Is that correct?
No. Actually...
well, Time in the Rani certainly didn't, because that was that was thrown together in... again, they wrote the script...
And it was too late for Cartmore to do anything about it.
Yeah, I think Cartmore literally just sort of, fixed the grammar.
Yeah.
But that was about it.
He tried to, but was a lot of pushback from Pip and James.
The second story?
Well, I think the other thing was there was just that rush. He'd had to go into production, so there's only so much,
Paradise Towers was Cartmel.
Okay.
But because he sat down and I think maybe even pitched the J.G. Ballard High Rise,
High Rise,
I think actually sort of pitched that to Wyatt, or they came up to it in a consultation. But again, it was rushed. Well, the whole season was rushed, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But look, season 8, as you said, Rob, Terror of the Autons, Mind of Evil, Colony in Space, The Demons, and I've forgotten one.
Axos.
Oh, no, okay.
Axos.
And there's the reason.
Axos.
I'm not a fan of Axos.
Not a fan?
No. That to me is by far the weakest in that season.
No, I'm not a fan of Axos.
No, there's usually a not so great episode in that classic series season. So, look, of those 3 that are remaining, season 8. I mean, I think we've all read up on what the planned season 23 was going to be like, and I suppose the Nightmare Fair is probably the standout. But Mission to Magnus...
probably the one. Nightmare Fair is probably the one that was most progressed, I think, at the time the plug was pulled.
That's 6 weeks away, I think, wasn't it?
So that's why it sort of coheres more.
I think Mission to Magnus, as it stands, isn't very good.
No.
But it would have had at least one more, if not 2 more, proper edits. The concept's not bad. Syl and the Ice Warriors both work very well when they work well. The Ultimate Evil, I think, sounds pretty terrible.
It was a pretty terrible book.
It was a pretty terrible book, yes.
And then you sort of got the ones that are very sort of speculative.
Yeah. The note on the back of the envelope.
None of that season excited me.
Well, having said that, all that stuff where they're running around, like, what's the Gallifrey one, where they're running around dressed as Hasidic Jews at the arms market or whatever it was, that just sounds like utter
Yeah.
So I think in summary, season 23 is not worthy of saving for this particular exercise.
No, probably not.
No.
So, in the bin?
I definitely was in the bin first time round, so the second time I'll be in the bin.
Anyone want to stick a hand up for K9 and Company?
No. Resolutely, no. I suppose it does have its charms, doesn't it?
Yes.
The music.
Music. Again, I remember being, probably about 12 when it was on here and being quite excited that it was a spin-off and it was another sort of pseudo Doctor Who episode.
It was shown 3 years later, wasn't it, here? Was that right? Like, it was shown 84
it was
here.
shown here just not long after they showed the 5 Doctors here, I think.
Yeah, it was 84,
Yeah,
so
very late 83 or very early 84.
That's interesting because I didn't see it until it came out on VHS.
Right.
I think I saw it on telly, I can't remember.
I've only seen it twice and I think it's enough, really.
Look, season 8 is a classic season.
Yes. I'm happy to admit
I think there's a couple like there's arguably 3 standout classics in that. Autons, Evil, and Demons.
Yep.
Colony I really enjoyed.
Yeah, Colony's
not a classic,
good.
But it's really good.
It's good.
So
solid.
I think we all agree.
Yeah.
Season 8.
Yeah, with a great man.
All right, we have 1 round to go, and we have 1 Joker still in play.
Yeah, I only hope what's in the bowl's not us.
Some people would say there's 4 Jokers sitting on the couch here.
Whoa!
Hey!
Seeds of Doom.
Oh, there's my Joker.
All classic era Sontaran stories. The Weeping Angels. Inferno.
Well, okay, I'll play.
He's got a Joker left.
If we vote for Inferno, I'll play my Joker for Seeds of Doom. The other 2 are gone. No, this discussion is now ended.
It's got the Time Warrior though. I love the Time Warrior.
But I mean, it's taken
Yeah.
as a totality.
Yeah, I know.
But it's Inferno and Seeds of Doom.
I know. I'm trying to generate discussion, Richard.
But saving the Sontaran stories also means saving the invasion of time.
What you mean?
Which one is Doctor?
Hello, Doctor. Got any mo?
Yeah, look, once again, I love the Time Warrior. I really enjoy Sontaran Experiment. I think it's a good 2-part story.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy Invasion of Time, and it's got the part 4 cliffhanger.
Yep.
2 Doctors we've already dismissed, but it's Inferno and
Sontaran. We're going to watch again.
This discussion is ended.
Does anybody want to defend the Weeping Angels?
They are the best monster, I think, of the new series.
But badly damaged by Moffat's insistence on bringing them back time and
I think Blink is a great story, but I really didn't like the second one.
And the third one's terrible.
Yes, and the third one is pretty ordinary. So, as I said, this discussion is ended. So...
Well, I guess it really doesn't matter which one we vote through and which one you use the Joker. No. We're saying Inferno and Seeds of Doom. They are both top 10 stories.
Yes.
Like, literally, no hyperbole. They are top 10 stories.
Yes. Go on.
Brilliant.
So,
Inferno and Seeds of Doom.
So we're left with the final list. So we have Inferno, obviously, and Seeds of Doom. Peter Capaldi. All Chris Boucher stories.
Of course.
Revelation of the Daleks.
Yes.
The Horns of Nymon.
Sound the horns of Nymon.
Captain Jack. World Enough and Time and the Doctor Falls. The House Stammers Walker books. All multi-Doctor stories. The Caves of Androzani. And Classic Era Season 8.
That's actually not a bad mix.
That's not a bad mix.
Well, they're the 12 items that we've got through. Actually, as it turned out, compared to the last time we did this, that's actually quite a good mix of stuff from across the series.
Agreed.
Including across the new series.
Yep.
I'm still a bit sad about the invasion, but...
It's okay.
Well, the Cushing movies.
Oh, well, we'll be back in a moment for part 2. We'll now move on to part 2 of our podcast of Decision. This is a slightly less tense round, where we're going to pull out 6 topics from the bowl of Rassilon. Each calls for a top 3 something, and then we'll just chat about our personal picks for those top 3. And at the end, we'll then pick one of those topics, and we'll do our group definitive top 5. So, Rob, do you want to start us off with our first top 3 topic?
So I'll just pull it out of the bowl?
Yep.
Top 3 Doctor Who villains.
Kevin Stoney. And
Paul Darrow.
Michael Gray.
What makes a good Doctor Who villain?
What instantly comes to mind? I mean, Magic Mavik Chen and Tobias Vaughan.
Yep.
Sutek.
Yes.
Yes.
Harrison Chase.
Yes.
What are some other ones? Davros.
Dave Ross, yes.
Ooh.
The Master.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Charis Jack.
Is he a really bad guy, though? Or is he more just misunderstood?
Anyone who wears leather and, sexually salivates over Perry, clearly a villain.
What about from the new series? They don't really go in for villains quite in the same way, do they?
No, they
Who
don't.
was that fellow who created the Cybermen in the alternate universe?
Oh, that was Lumic.
Roger Lloyd Pack. Yeah. John Lumic.
It was a great character, terribly cast.
It was appalling.
Well, I suppose you've got the... What's the woman with the eye patch?
Manon Kevorkian.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Well, she's a villain. I just say she had to be a great villain. I just said she is a villain. John Lumic wasn't a great villain either.
I'm just pulling something out of my head that I thought I remember him. I mean, is there a reason why this new series may not have instantly memorable villains?
I don't know.
It doesn't really do that sort of a plot quite as much, does it? That mad scientist or that evil from the dawn of time.
I've also got the guy in... there's a guy in the bunker in Dalek.
Oh, yeah.
The American collector.
Yeah, he's good.
Well, I didn't say they had to be good. I just said
No, but
He's a villain. He's a villain.
No, but he is. But I mean, how many times is the new series, technology gone bad or a misunderstanding, those sort of things? It's a very different sort of thing, whereas old school Who, a lot of the time is just, here's a bad guy, the Doctor needs to bring them down. Yeah. Hell no would be on my list.
I mean, and look, the running time, I mean, you get to see Davros developed over 6 episodes in Genesis of the Daleks, whereas... Mr. Lumic, Roger Lloyd Pack is, 1-2 episodes at most. I mean, it's hard to get a sense of who they are and why they are the way they are. Yeah, but I would agree with some of the early ones that you mentioned. Sutek definitely is a great idea and a great representation through the actor's voice, whose name escapes me right now. Gabriel Wolf.
Yes.
Yeah. Davros definitely.
Yeah, Totoxel as well from the Aztecs. He's really good.
Totoxel is very good, yeah.
And that's a very human villain.
Yeah.
Someone motivated by their religion.
Yeah, that's actually really,
So I'm actually going to pull a very similar one for my top 3. I'm going to have Tagana from Marco Polo.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to have Magic Mavik Chen. And I think I'm going to have to go Sutek, the Destroyer.
It's a parents.
I would go Sutek. Probably Davros. Particularly if I can just choose the Michael Wisher one. But
You cancelled out the others?
the problem with the later Davros is he's more ranty and shouty than the later ones. I think the Michael Wisher Davros.
What about Julian Bleach?
Yeah, actually.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good.
I think he's really good.
I think he's the only one that can really hold a candle to
Michael Wisher.
Of all 4 who've played the role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go for the Master.
No.
I might go for Tobias Vaughan, actually, for my third.
Okay, so you've got Vaughn, Sutek, and Davros. Okay, not a bad pick.
I'll go Davros. I think Michael Bishop's performance is utterly fantastic.
Would you go Nida?
Oh, Nida. Such a toady. No, we'll go with Davros.
We go any of the Peter Miles characters, they're all pretty good.
They are, actually.
Yeah, I'll go with Davros. Sutek is really a fantastic creation. And Shari's Jack. I mean, he's more, blighted by circumstance. If he'd not been sort of thrust out into that tunnel and burnt horribly from head to toe, he wouldn't be motivated by revenge and hate. Hate keeps him alive.
Yes.
So those three for me.
Well, Harrison Chase.
Look, Harrison Chase is really good.
Scorby.
Scorby's very
Scorby.
If you were going for sort of secondary villains, then you'd go with someone like Scorby.
You go Scorby and Parker and a few others like that.
That's a good topic. Good top 3 secondary Doctor Who villains.
Be unsteady on your feet, Doctor.
I must.
Yeah.
Mark.
I'm going to go and be really quite boring and go for Davros. We'll go for the Michael Wisher incarnation. Sutek, that voice is very chilling, and it's no wonder they brought him back for the Tennant two-parters. That name escapes me.
The Demon and the Satan Pit?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
The Beast, sorry.
The Beast.
The Beast they call it.
Yeah, the Beast, yes.
Yeah, I bring Sutek's gift of death. Chilling. I like Harrison Chase as well because he's mad bonkers.
Yep.
But still has that touch of villainy about him, where he's on the verge between madness and
more madness.
Yeah, bonkers.
So Sutek, 4 votes.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible, given the diversity of the range.
But that is an awesome performance.
It is an awesome performance.
It's flawless. It really is flawless.
Even the hand on the cushion to keep it down. Is,
even the design, I think that the design of the mask that he has for most of the story is just really weird and evocative and interesting. And look, I know now we look at the face that he has when the mask comes off at the end, and we sort of go, okay, that's a little bit sort of weird. But as a kid, that was terrifying. And he's just powerful. Yeah, like he's just everything you want a villain to be.
And that thing you say where he's powerful, Dave is right, because the Doctor is basically, you can't face him directly. You see that moment where Sutek imposes his will on the Doctor, and the Doctor is in absolute agony.
Yes.
And if you're watching as an 8 or a 10 or a 12-year-old, your hero is helpless against Sutek's might, and that makes Sutek even more memorable.
Yeah, it's frightening. Yeah, it's really good.
I think a couple of us mentioned Kevin Stoney characters, and that again is just the performance. They're both very good, but very well written. I threw Degana in because I think that over the course of 7 episodes, you really get to know this character, and he's very clever. He basically outwits the Doctor on several occasions, and it really comes down to a sword fight at the last moment to get him, but you really feel what this character is, and I think that's what makes the difference. Right, Mark, do you want to give us our next top 3 topic?
Drum roll, please. Top 3 non-fiction Who books.
The 60s?
The 70s?
Done. No.
I'm going to make an early bid here for David Banks' Cyberman book.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very fond of the Discontinuity Guide.
The Celebration I like. Mainly for nostalgia reasons, though. I mean, a lot of it's probably inaccurate now, but it's actually, as a first attempt at a non-fiction book, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd like to get that J. Jeremy Bentham book, the one that he did.
Oh, the early years?
The early years, that's the one. I never managed to get my hands on it. I'm not quite sure what it's like, but it looked intriguing when I held it.
Lance Parkin's History of the Universe, I really enjoyed, but I'm a particular sort of fan that likes all that future history stuff and
I was
continuity stuff.
Fortunate enough to pick that up when it was effectively just like a fanzine itself, and it blew my tiny fan mind to have all that information.
These up to about 4th or 5th edition of that, because it's now called A History.
Yes, through Mad Norwegian.
Yes.
Press. Though whether Lance is involved in that himself or whether there are other contributors
now. I've got the sort of big blue one that came out. It's quite a while ago now, but
definitely out of date now.
Yeah.
Certainly the 60s by House, Stammer and Walker, simply because I don't think a lot of people were able to get their hands on that sort of early information.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You know, lots of photos, pretty well selected photos as well.
Technical manual?
I love the technical manual.
Certainly, as a young fan, I love the technical manual.
Yeah.
I was very excited when I got that.
That was very exciting to have that.
And that would also put things like the Dalek book or Kanan and Other Mechanical Creatures. Probably the original Doctor Who monster book.
What about the making of Doctor Who? That was Terrance Dicks, wasn't it?
There was Malcolm Hock and Terrance Dicks, and the other one I think is really Terrance Dicks with some input from Malcolm Hock.
Oh, okay.
So, because there's the Pertwee one, and then there's the sort of slightly dumbed down one, which
The
is
junior
the
Doctor Who.
Tom Baker one.
Terrance Dicks with Malcolm Hock's pen.
Yes.
What about the book that looks at the making of the TV movie?
Regeneration by Gary Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah.
It is pretty content, yeah.
House Transcendental Toy Box, I must admit, was one I spent a fair bit of time with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I like those About Time series. They're quite good.
Yes.
You know, there's obviously more than one, but they're quite good
I
times.
think the original 2 contributors, I think those particular books are the better ones.
Yeah, Tapwood.
I think when Mad Larry's involved, yes.
Yeah.
Does somebody want to kick us off with the list?
All right, I'll go with Doctor Who: A Celebration, the Cyberman, because it is truly excellent. And the third one would have to be. I love the Stammers and Howe stuff. I'm actually going to go with The Vault, which is a Marcus Hearn 50th anniversary tome. And I think
that is pretty good. The Vault, yes, I did pick The Vault up. That is pretty good.
I'm going to be fairly obvious with two of my picks. Again, like you, Mark, I'm going to go with the Cyberman. I'm going to go with the 60s because I mean that just was a definitive work on a favourite part of the show for me, and just one that I personally really loved, and that, as I mentioned, was the History of the Universe.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the Doctor Who monster book, probably from one that I really liked when I was young.
Yeah.
There were two of those, and I must admit, when I was a young fan, I pored over them a lot, and that would also cover stuff like the Kanan and Other Mechanical Creatures. I'm going to go with the 60s because I think that is just such an excellent book, and as we've said several times, it really redefined, I think, the reference book.
Absolutely.
And for my third one, I'm very fond of the Cyberman book, but I'm actually going to go with Howe's Transcendental Toy Box for the third one because I did spend a lot of time with that, and I did bring a box load of them out here to distribute to people back when it was first published.
So money is influencing your choice, Richard?
No, not at all. But I do have some pretty fond memories of working with that book. Yeah, and it's a book I have gone back to several times. So.
And Rob?
So, Big Finish put out a book maybe 10, 15 years ago now, looking at their first set of episodes. So it was a look at those Big Finish plays and everything behind the scenes. I can't quite remember the name of it, but anyway, it's to do with Big Finish. I'll go with the Cyberman. I remember picking that up second hand and really, really enjoying it and being captivated, like a fan usually can be, by the timeline that David Banks had constructed and all that sort of an attempt to put
hardback or paperback?
Only paperback. No.
And the illustrations.
Yeah, definitely.
I also have the hardback, Mark, but
and to go really old school and way back, the Leficiers episode.
Yes, that's right.
Which, unique in their own way, but as a fledgling fan, really keen.
Yeah, they were really a bible back in the early days.
Keen to understand the show's history.
Just basic stuff like cast list, episode lists,
dates,
and synopsis.
I've completely forgotten about them. Yeah, good choice.
Thank you very much. That's my throw.
Next topic I will pick out, and it is top 3 cyber stories.
I think Dave's going to go for the invasion.
I'm definitely going to go for the invasion.
So we can save it now.
The invasion for me is an easy pick. Tomb is an easy pick.
Shock.
And then I'm going to have to work hard on the third one because Moonbase is a contender, Earthshock is a contender. I'm fond of Revenge, but I don't think I can make it top 3. 10th Planet is probably a contender. So I'll start by saying Invasion and Tomb, but you have to come back to me for my third pick.
I would go 10th Planet. I would go Earthshock. And for my third one...
Silver Nemesis?
Rise of the Cybermen.
World Enough in Time. The Doctor Falls.
That actually would,
Yeah,
that would definitely be a contender.
Yeah, that's a contender as well.
And actually, I might go with that one. Actually, that'll be my three. 10 Planet Earthshock and World Enough in Time.
I'm going to go for no surprise from me, Earthshock. I think it's excellent.
You haven't trotted that out at all today, have you?
Five Doctors.
Oh.
It's not really.
Except they cut out the Cyberman going on the special edition. So
I have found the ones from the TARDIS.
Yeah, I have found the ones from the TARDIS. So Earthshock, definitely the invasion as well, Dave. I totally agree with that. I'm quite fond of Wheel in Space, but it does drag a little bit. I am actually going to go for Revenge of the Cybermen because
I have a soft spot for Revenge of the Cybermen.
It's a comfort Doctor Who. That and Death of the Daleks is the comfort Doctor Who for me. And I do like Revenge. I think it's a lot of fun. The stuff in Wookiee Hole is really, I think that's really, really well done. Or as the social justice warrior fans call it, Wokie Hole. Oh no, you've got to cut that out of me, Dave.
You have just been itching to slip that joke in.
I've got plenty more today, Dave.
My three stories. Tomb of the Cybermen.
Yep.
Look, it has its flaws, but it is a really well realised story.
It is so effective at what it does.
Yeah,
I actually think the novel is better than the visual, but okay.
That's all right.
But yeah, that's mine.
Troughton's fantastic. When I picked up that issue of DWB that had the Tomb logo on the front, and even though found, and I was just electrified by that sort of that news. I'll go with you again, Richard. World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls. I think that's a really effective use of the Cybermen. You tend to find that they're not really well. I mean, the essential horror of what they are. And how they come to be tends to get mixed.
What about Army of Ghosts and Doomsday?
Well, other than the cliffhanger,
pretty forgettable, really. I mean, it's just cannon fodder. It's just not very good.
And I think for its impact on me as a youth, Earthshock, because I don't prior to that I'd only seen Revenge of the Cybermen. On high repeat on the ABC, and it's a really strong, effective story. The direction is really pacey.
Excellent.
Don't say that again. And look, Adric's death, was shocking at the time. It really had an impact on me, and I well remember watching the silent credits roll.
Yeah, likewise.
It's still quite affecting now. I was watching the Blu-ray a couple of weeks ago, and
did you ever cry?
I was a little bit like, oh yeah, because actually, he's actually all right. Matthew Waterhouse is actually okay.
Yeah. Given a good script, he's fine.
He's all right. Yeah,
he has some terrible... We're diverging a little bit here, but for the Doomsday,
pretty...
The stuff he has to deliver there, it's awful. It's terrible.
But State of Decay, he's fine in that anyway. We divulge a bit, but...
so they're my three.
So I started with Invasion and Tomb for the reasons we've discussed. I'm actually going to make Moonbase my final one.
Moonbase.
I know Moonbase has copped a bit of criticism, and the more people see it, the more they find holes they can punch in it. But it really captured my imagination when I was young. It still does. The Cybermen are very creepy. They seem to be very threatening. And there's just, nothing beats a cyber army marching across the lunar surface.
No. I remember years before I saw it, having read and reread the novelisation.
Yeah,
I do remember really enjoying the novelisation.
Strong book.
I was probably a little underwhelmed when I actually saw the two surviving episodes, but...
Part 3, I think, is the strongest of them, though. That's actually got a lot of the action in it, and it's a shame that Part 3 doesn't exist. I'm going for 3 of the Troughtons. I think they're really good there.
Very good.
Richard, our next topic.
Okay. Alright. Top 3 directors.
Oh.
Well, we're all going to say Douglas Camfield, aren't we?
Yeah, let's just all agree Douglas Camfield, shall we? My number 2 is very easy, and that's Peter Grimwade.
Yep.
Graham Harper is obvious, I suppose.
Graham Harper's not on my list.
Interesting.
I like what Graham Harper does, but I think he's a bit of a one-trick pony. He does that trick very well, and that's that fast-paced, edgy action down with the camera sort of thing. He's very good. I'm not dissing Graham Harper, but I think there are other directors that did more interesting things over a larger
body of work.
Who's the director that only did Eccleston stuff? And is it Joe Ahern?
Yeah, Joe Ahern. Yeah.
Joe Ahern would be a contender.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say Keith Bowick, but he's...
Ahern worships at the feet of Harper, though, doesn't he? There's a bit of Harper in Ahern's work.
Oh, for sure, but it's updated.
There is another director from the Eccleston Tennant years. Whose name?
Eros Lynn.
That's him. Yeah, he's quite effective. Didn't he do the one set in France in the at Versailles?
He might have done it actually. Yeah, I think he did that. Yeah.
Which one?
But he also did the End of Time. So But then again, so did Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel Talalay has to be in there.
Yeah.
Again, not to diss her, but is she doing brilliant work with very good scripts? Like, she's been thrown really good material.
Yeah.
She does a great job with them. Like, I'm not knocking her down. She's a contender.
Still, she has to visually realise those stories and draw the performances.
David Maloney?
Maloney's solid, but I don't think he's innovative. I don't think he's top 3.
No.
Michael E. Bryan?
I was about to say Michael E. Bryan.
He'd probably be on my list, I think. Probably doesn't also hurt that we've watched a lot of Blake Seven work recently. So.
You have a Blake Seven's podcast, Richard?
No,
and
Rob,
Dave.
No. What's that?
I liked Nick from the new series, Nick Curran. I thought he did a really good job. He did Day of the Doctor, but he also did some really sort of standout episodes of Matt Smith.
We can go old school. Walrus Insane or Theo Martin.
Not Richard Martin, no.
No?
No.
So for my third pick, I've said I'm having Camfield, I'm going to have Grimwade. I'm going to go with Alan Waring, who did some of those later McCoy ones.
Yeah.
And at a time when there's just no money.
And there's no interest.
And there's no interest from the BBC.
No, that's right.
He's delivering some really well-directed stuff. So Waring, Grimwade and Camfield for me.
Douglas Camfield. I am actually going to go with Michael E. Bryan.
Yeah.
And for a third one...
Well, I was going to say Joe Ahern's probably number 4. I just can't get him across. I just can't get him above the other 3.
Yeah. I'll take Joe Ahern then. There you go.
All right.
Camfield, Harper, and as a nod to the new series,
we can have Harper there
as well.
I didn't think Harper's work on the new series was particularly good.
I think it's good, but it's time's caught up with him.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think he's now where everybody else is.
Yeah.
And Rachel Talalay from the new series. We'll just plonk her in. She's all right.
It's a worthy inclusion.
Yep.
George Benton Foster.
I'm going to go for
Alan Blomley.
Mervyn Pinfield.
Hey!
Tim Coombs good. Tim Coombs would be high on my list.
Actually, Tim Coombs pretty good.
Tim Coombs is pretty good. He just was not very good at keeping debating.
No, apparently not. No. Look, I'm going to be boring. Camfield, definitely. Grimwade, definitely. Harper, yeah. No, actually, I'm going to go with Nick Curran from the new series. I think his stuff's really very good. I think if Harper had a third set of episodes in the classic series, that might have cemented him even further. I think if he's supposed to do Battlefield like he was asked to, I think it would have, I don't know, cemented him higher, really.
Yeah, bodies of work do help. I mean, Paul Joyce is very, very good, but it's one story.
Yeah.
Okay, next topic, Rob.
Me. Right, here we go. Top 3 master stories.
I don't know, Well Enough in Time the Doctor Falls.
Survival.
Yes.
Yep.
What's a really good Delgado one? The Demons is very good for Delgado. Frontier in Space.
Frontier in Space is very good.
He gets his own cliffhanger in the Demons.
That's true.
Yeah.
Frontier in Space is really good. Sea Devils is good. I mean, he's good in Terror of the Autons.
TV movie?
No. Even if he did dress for the occasion.
Oh, thank you very much.
Deadly Assassin?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think I found my 2 or 3.
Well, go ahead, Rob.
Well, yeah, Deadly Assassin made a real impact on me when I read the novelisation that covered with the Master's face.
Yep.
Survival, like you said there, Dave, Ainley, I think, gives the performance that he probably always wanted to give. It's subtle, it's restrained, it's not time flight, you know.
Yeah.
And
Castrovalva.
for that 5 minutes of just reached and touched the sun, Derek Jacobi in Utopia.
He briefly burnt very bright, didn't he, Rob?
He did.
Ours are going to be very similar then, Rob, because I'm also going Utopia. I think that's the best master story of the new series and should be in the list.
Yep.
I'm also going Survival for all the reasons you said. It's a great story, but Ainley is just the master. He should have been all along in that. And I think I'll put Frontier in Space in as my Delgado. There has to be a Delgado on the list in my view.
For sure.
And I think Frontier in Space, look, he's been playing the character there now for 3 years. He's got the charm, he's got the menace. It's the Master on a galactic scale. It's the Master not being defined by the Doctor. It's actually just a scheme that he was doing anyway, and it's like, oh, the Doctor's rocked up. What a coincidence. So yeah, they're my 3: Frontier, Survival, and Utopia.
Lovely.
Certainly Survival, because I do think that is easily the best of the only Master stories.
Really?
I think so.
What
King's Demons.
Well, actually, I was I might as well give you my list while we're talking
go
about
on,
your
you do
stuff.
yours.
So,
you interrupted him.
sorry, yeah.
Well, that's all right.
In terms of Delgado, I would probably plumb for Mind of Evil. Mainly because the plot, you just talked about the galactic influence and what he's trying to do. On a global scale, what the Master's trying to do is obviously bring around a world war and trying to play off the different countries against each other. So I think he's thinking a bit more, a bigger term in terms of using Earth against each other. Legopolis, I actually think is a very good performance from Ainley. He hasn't got to the King's Demons part of the role yet. He's still very fresh in it. He's also a bit...
Oh, come on, Time Flight's the turning point. Like,
I think
the low point. Surely. He's terrible in that. Like, the script's bad, but Andy's not doing much with it.
Can anybody save it?
No, but he's not doing any good either. Like,
No.
he's giving a terrible performance to a terrible script. Like, he's not lifting it.
No.
I mean, and I'm not just talking about, okay, nobody can do the charade nonsense, justice. But that stuff where, you get to the dramatic conclusion where the Master and the Doctor swap circuit boards. Like,
It's top quality shot stuff.
yeah.
They've gone to a swap meet.
Whilst the companions are busy repressuring a tyre. Like, it's not the most exciting adventure.
Pump harder!
Oh my god, yeah. They brought it all back. So look, Mind of Evil, Legopolis, and I will plumb for World Enough in Time.
But are you doing that because of the Master or because it's just a great story?
Actually, you're right. Actually, what the last
Because that would be the problem I'd have with it.
Yeah.
I would easily go for that.
Yeah,
but
actually,
more
Survival.
because it's a
I
great
think
story.
Survival's pretty good too in terms of his shenanigans.
All right, well, I'll go for Survival. I'm going to stick with Survival. For Delgado, I'll go for the Demons.
Yeah, that's fair. He is very good in the
He is very good in the Demons, and as I said, he's important enough in the show at that point. He gets his own cliffhanger.
Yes.
And for the third one, as I just said, I would very much like to go World Enough in Time, but that's not really because it's a great Master story. So I'm going to go for...
It's a real pity that they revealed that John Sims was coming back in the role at that
Yeah.
point. It would have been great if they hadn't have done that.
I'm actually going to go for Deadly Assassin for the third one.
Yep.
Very fair.
Good choice.
And our final top three, Mark.
Top 3 historicals. Ooh, okay.
The Massacre, the Mythmakers, and one other. Aztecs.
Marco Polo, Aztecs.
Mythmakers.
Massacre.
Well, are there any new series ones that should be in there? I mean, Demons of the Punjab would be one that I would put up there. Having recently watched Fires of Pompeii after visiting Pompeii, that was better than I remembered it. I don't think it's going to be top 3.
Is that pure historical though? Because that's a pseudo-historical, wasn't it?
Yeah, okay.
So by that, if you're having that, I'm having Horror of Fang Rock. So
I agree.
I concur.
Well, is this where we Kobayashi Maru and say anything prior to 2019 is technically an historical? Look, if we're going pure historicals, and yeah, probably in the spirit of it, we should. Marco Polo and Aztecs are very easy picks for me. They're both very, very good stories. And I would probably have to go the Romans in terms of just pure enjoyment, in terms of just reveling and throwing the characters into a historical world and just exploring that world. I think it does a really, really good job. So, look, I mean, I've said many times, the Hartnell historicals are some of my favourite parts of the movie.
so they're really the only historicals if we go in pure historicals. So
Good.
Highlanders.
So 2. All right.
So Aztecs, Marco Polo, Romans for me.
Aztecs, the Massacre, and I really enjoyed the Mythmakers when I listened to it a year or two back.
The Mythmakers is a really clever script.
It is.
It's a very... I mean, any episode that has the title "Small Profit, Quick Return"
Yes.
with the spelling pun in there, that's just...
I mean, it's
Doctor
not
Advice.
really a historical in the sense that, I'm not sure that all of these particular characters actually existed in history, but it clearly is set in the past, and there are no aliens. Yeah, I just really enjoy the writing in it. And up until the point where everyone starts getting slaughtered in the last episode.
It changes tone really, really much.
Tonal shift is
Yeah.
massive.
And it does have that part 3 cliffhanger. Woe to Troy! It's too late to say woe to the horse.
I'm going to go The Massacre.
That's a very well written story.
It is.
It is.
I have to say I don't know whether to be one that would be that great if you could see it, because I think it is just people standing in rooms talking. It's
Yes.
very good people standing in rooms talking.
I mean, a lot of Shakespeare is just people standing in rooms talking.
Indeed, but
Sir, there's a battle happening just off stage over there.
So I'll go that. I'll go the Aztecs, because at least that's one you can watch.
And I'm going to the Aztecs temple in February.
There you go.
Very good.
Yeah.
And just because I want to be perverse, I'll go the Smugglers.
Is there no love for the Crusades?
Oh. Now I feel bad.
That is good.
Now look, Crusades is very,
And it's
very
got
good.
Julian Glover in it.
Crusades is very, very good.
It's
And
beautifully
I have been to the ancient port of Jaffa.
Well, maybe I'll take that actually instead of the Smugglers then. I'll take the Crusade instead of the Smugglers.
Yeah, that's fair. That's good. That Crusade should get a mention.
Marcus?
The Massacre, the Mythmakers. Yeah, I could go for Crusades as well, because I do like them as 4-parters. But then again, I do like the scope and the epic nature of Marco Polo with 7 episodes. So
Marco Polo covers half a continent.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty. And it's over a 7-month duration. You know.
And the twists and turns in that are really good. Like they go to different locations, they have different problems they have to surmount. New characters get introduced to keep it interesting. You know, they finally get to meet Kublai Khan, which again changes the story again. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Marco Polo. I will say though, if we were being slightly more generous with the criteria and allowing very slightly pseudo-historicals, Demons of the Punjab would be the new series pick I would throw in the mix.
Well, in that case, I'm having Horror of Fang Rock.
Well, I'm having Time Flight.
It's very historical.
Hysterical.
Well, City of Death does have an historical component.
Yeah.
Time Meddler.
Yeah. Very heavy. Look, there are 6 topics. What we'll do now is just have a musical break while we decide which one, as a group, we're going to do the definitive top 5. And we're back, and we've decided to go with top 3 Who villains.
Yep.
Because we think there's a bit of scope to really sort of thrash out the bottom end of that top 5. Now, I think there were 4 votes for Sutek.
Yes.
So can we lock Sutek the Destroyer at number 1?
Yes.
I think he's locked in enough already in the pyramid.
There were 3 votes for Davros, and I was the one who didn't have Davros, but I'm very happy to include Davros at number 2.
Yep.
So then I guess we have to thrash out 3, 4 and 5. I would contend there needs to be one of the Kevin Stoney ones in there.
Yes.
Which one, Mavic Chen or Tobias Vaughn?
So I picked...
Tyrone.
This horse has betrayed us. I would argue for Mavic Chen, both in terms of the scale of the performance and in terms of the way that Stoney takes him from here's just the guy running the galaxy to here's the guy who's working with the Daleks to here's the guy on the mission chasing the Doctor and getting a bit crazier to just his performance in Part 12 where he's just like turns it up to 11 and he's just nuts, absolutely just flaming nuts. Whereas Vaughn is a great performance and a great villain, but it's very, very steady.
Yeah.
Even though he has those peaks where he just loses his cool and he screams at Packer, but it's a very steady performance. Mavic Chen's, I think, got a lot more going on there. So I'll plump for Mavic Chen to be
I'm down with
3, 4, 5,
Yeah,
somewhere
I
in
agree.
there.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Alright, so we've got 2 left.
What, 2 left?
Malin Tecker, Paul Darrow. Just for eating the furniture.
Because it's Paul Darrow. That's
Paul Darrow. The other great man.
Yes.
I would actually go for Stotzi from Caves of Androzani. No?
I like the character, but is he as good as...
Probably not.
what are some of the ones that's right? We had Harrison Chase.
We did.
Syl.
Yeah.
Is Syl a villain or a monster?
Well, I suppose he...
I thought it was always supposed to be a monster,
monster.
wasn't
It's a monstrous villain.
He's sort of considered to be sort of the monster of the Colin era, because the Colin era doesn't really have that many monsters.
No.
he? Apart from Michael Gray.
The Valiard?
No.
The Rani?
No.
We're just throwing out names now, aren't we? Who would you pick from the new series as a villain?
I don't know. There's nobody from the new series that really sort of resonates.
It's not that style of show.
No, I mean the only ones who sort of really would be the family of
Blood.
Family of Blood. I mean, but,
Yeah.
but
Tim
I mean,
Shaw.
Yeah. You know,
Anyway.
can I put Helen A up as a contender?
Yeah, why
'Cause
not?
I think that's a really good performance in an underrated story, I think.
What about Hilda Winters from Robot?
Interesting.
Would
That's a good contender.
would you rather have her than Helen A?
You know, I probably would actually.
Yeah.
That's a really strong performance. And a really
Very
good
strong
villain.
performance, and
And the rationale behind it, what she's doing, is actually quite clever. I think, I'm happy to have Hilda Winters in the 5.
I'm down for Hilda.
So if we're saying Sutek, Davros, Mavic Chen, Hilda Winters,
Who's the lucky 5th one?
is Harrison Chase the 5th?
Certainly very memorable
He is
in a
very
memorable
memorable.
story. He certainly holds his own.
I mean, Boss is really the computer, isn't it? Really ingrained there.
I put forward Tagada at the start, but what about Totoxel?
Totoxel's actually,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything from the Davison era? I'm struggling to think there. There are some good monsters in there, but
Monarch?
Monarch, yeah.
No,
Yeah, definitely.
Hindle, but he's more unhinged, isn't he?
Gravis.
He's a monster.
Barusa? Barusa and the Five Doctors.
Yeah, look, that's not bad. Can you, look, I guess I'll put it out there.
Lytton.
Can you guys beat Totoxel?
No.
Lytton's
We're
good.
not going to chuck the master in there?
No.
It's a bit obvious.
It's a bit, yeah.
And the Master's got some great stuff, but he's also got...
Not great stuff.
got yeah.
The Black Guardian?
No.
But what's he do?
Shouts.
Yeah. Like Valentine Dale is great, but what does the Black Guardian actually do other than I can't be seen to interfere? Well, sort off then. I don't think you can beat Totoxel.
Totoxel. I think Totoxel.
I mean, the villain from was a guy out of The Awakening. He's quite effective as well. But I think in terms of, I think Totoxel.
Dennis Lill.
Yeah, Dennis Lill. I can't remember the character he played, but he's mad as a box of frogs.
Yeah, but it's The Awakening.
George Harrison.
George Harrison.
Hutchison. George Harrison.
I like that, Doctor.
So
I reckon Totoxel is a very
we're saying Sutek, Davros, Mavic Chen, Hilda Winters, and Totoxel,
Yes. Or Harrison Chase.
with Harrison Chase as the runner-up.
Yep.
as a backup singer.
I'd probably have him instead of
Hilda Winters, I would
but
agree, actually.
Yeah,
I would.
I'm going for Hilda Winters. Or we can
Decisions.
we can just change the rules and make it a top 6.
Make it a top 6.
There you go. We're putting them both in. We're having a top 6. So there we have it. Our definitive top 6 Doctor Who villains: Sutek, Davros, Mavic Chen, Hilda Winters, Totoxel, and Harrison Chase.
Yep.
–
Fantastic.
Very happy with that.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming on board again.
Absolute
That was a
pleasure.
lot of fun.
That was
I hope
Thank
you
for
enjoyed
inviting
it.
us. Thank you.
Audience, I hope you enjoyed it as well. We'll no doubt do this again at some point.
Absolutely.
Now, 42 to Doomsday. Where can we find that, Mark?
Thank you, Dave. 42 to Doomsday can be found on iTunes, Stitcher.com, Spotify now, apparently. We still get no money from that. And also we've got blogs, Facebook, Twitter. Just type in 42 to Doomsday. Yes, that's where you can find us, Dave. Thank you very much. Wow.
And don't forget, you can hear Richard and I on Spacefall, a Blake 7 podcast. And indeed, you can go back and hear the 4 of us on the Goodies Pirate podcast, which is a complete run of Goodies episodes.
Yes.
But until next time, I've been Dave.
I've been Mark.
I've been Rob.
Sorry, you threw me off.
It's not hard.
And I'm Richard.
And we'll speak again soon.
You've been listening to The Doctor Who Show, the podcast where too much Doctor Who is barely enough. Subscribe to us on iTunes or listen through the website at www.thedwshow.net. Write to us at hello@thedwshow.net or send us a quickie on Twitter @thedwshow. Facebook.com/The DW Show is also a good place to find us if you're so inclined. Our version of the Doctor Who theme arranged by George Locke. Look him up on YouTube, folks. This podcast is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. Doctor Who, all names and sounds, and any other related items are trademarks and or copyrights of the BBC. All other trademarks and trade names are properties of their respective owners. The official Doctor Who website can be found at www.bbc.co.uk/Doctor Who.
And I'm JR.